Vice Member Kirby, you looked like you wanted to say something. Go ahead, sir.
Can you imagine in 1926 when they put this charter together? They weren't thinking about overreach from the state. Having to do this is important for our city, but they had no idea when they made this charter, and it's been amended a few times, that they were going to we would have to put some language in our charter that would protect our city from the overreach of the state. Now, that's the self-performance, and we want to do everything that we can, but the irony is we're talking about wanting to keep our refuse, but we might have to take a hard look at that because the state is going to force us in a different position. You know, maybe we should go back and put a charter amendment before the next election that says we can have our own refuse. You know, there's some ideas, and to Raymond's point, maybe, you know, we didn't look at enough, but when we saw 40-some things that needed to be looked at, that's too much. And when it's $35,000 a change, and I know I recommended this before, but maybe the approach would be to ask the people if it would be okay to open up the charter and do more than one change for $35,000. And that is problematic because you have to communicate with all the people, and most of the folks don't even come to the meetings or see what we're doing. And so that's a difficult marketing challenge to try to get that on the ballot and get people to accept it. And we would have to build a lot of trust from this body, and the trust in this body has been broken since COVID, or maybe before.
Yeah.
So we got to rebuild it. The elections, not selections, personal for me, because I knew Pete McCracken. I used to come to these meetings back in the 80s, and I've seen a lot of fireworks over the years, but when I would talk to Pete, you could talk to Pete. You wouldn't always agree with him, but you could talk to him. But when, unfortunately, when he died in office, and then that was the beginning, right 2 weeks after he was elected, that was the beginning of having someone appointed in this seat. And it stayed that way for almost, I think it's just under 10 years, over 9 years. And through that period, I know that I tried to engage this seat quite a few times, and I was just completely ignored. So I understand some of the frustration that I hear from the audience, but that's from people that I've actually said, let's talk, and they won't talk to me. It was the other way around. I wanted to talk to District 4 Supervisor, and they wouldn't talk to me, refused to. And so when you don't have good representation in your city, that's what that's about. You say we're selecting people, and if you go back and look at the newspapers, when I tried to get appointed into that position, you can go read the articles. Because I came in and did a 3-hour interview on here, and the public knew full well that I won that seat through that interview process, and I wasn't selected. And that's when I saw the bias, and that's what fired me up to say, I'm going to go run for office because I'm sick and tired of not being represented in this city, and so were the people. The people in District 4 and others were being ignored. That's what that's about. So even though it's $35,000, it restores some integrity and some connection to the people, because if we don't go put this on the ballot, this body's just going to select another person. And it might be fair and it might not be. But we want to guard against that condition that we saw, because it was wrong what was happening. That's what that one's about. And so I'm for both of them. I know it's expensive, but I think we should do the right thing. But I wanted to explain it because changing the charter is changing the constitution of the city. And there's a lot of other things that need to be adjusted in there. It's just wording, some of them. And others are a little more significant, like this. We should be able to have some autonomy from the state. That's what being a charter city is about. So paving our roads and keeping our refuse and those things, we should have the autonomy to do that without being financially coerced with these clean fleet regulations, for example. So I just want to explain that for the public so they understand it. These are important. The team worked a long time on these, and we came up with 2 that made sense, and I think these 2 should go forward. I'd make a recommendation that we go forward with both, Mayor.
I'm going to take that as a motion. Councilman Rivas.